Hi, and welcome back to the ARTtech Seminar here at Assembly. We're continuing with the topic of virtual reality, and the next hour will be dedicated to talking about bringing virtual reality and reality closer together. Let me welcome on stage Sami Heinonen from NetFreak.
Hi all. You here and people online, you can send me Twitter messages to the address you will see shortly. But first, hi all. It's nice to be here. It's such an amazing event here. So my name is Sami, and I'm talking about prototyping in virtual reality. So today's agenda is of course, I'm about to say who I'm actually, who is Sami, and tools that I'm currently using in virtual reality, and what is my opinion, what is my take on what is prototyping in virtual reality. Then I have two different cases. I have a Terhi bot case and a rapid retaliation game case, and then I have some various hacks about prototyping. And then if you have time, we can have some questions. And as said, while I'm talking through this whole thing, you can send me Twitter messages and I will read them after this show and answer. So, first of all, yes, my name is Sami Heinonen. I have a really wonderful real day job. I'm working as a lead designer at the Sanoma Media Finland. But at the night time, I have a double identity. I'm a freelancer of the virtual reality, and I have a NetFreak name that I use creating amazing stuff, and that's such a great time. Tools. About a year ago or more that, I was having this kind of crossroad, which platform to choose to start creating virtual reality. And for some reason or another, at that time, I chose Unreal Engine. Unity is great too, but for some reason, I found the Unreal Engine to be a more tool that was meant to be in my hand. And on the hardware side, I started with a DK1, DK2, and then I actually ordered the Rift consumer version. But at that time, they had some issues delivering those products for consumers, so I got a little bit frustrated, and I bought a HTC Vive, and that's been kind of a great tool ever since. I use Blender. I like that a lot. It's as you know, it's a great open source software, and Photoshop. And this Mixamo Flash Fuse, I don't know if you have heard of about this tool, but it's a Adobe's software that actually they are currently already ramping it down because it was some sort of a beta or alpha. But it was a very convenient way to create rigged characters to the virtual reality. Maybe there's one real product coming out, so let's wait and see. And of course, GIMP, everyone must have used that, but I used it mainly for the seamless textures and normal maps for the textures. So the prototyping, as in a conventional service design process, prototyping is a very essential part of the whole path. You have some hypotheses that this might be, or these are the customer needs, and then you start digging a little bit what's behind that you start creating prototypes and you get quality feedback from the real users that maybe the challenge or the problem or the need is totally different than you first thought. And it's very valuable for getting real good data. And at the same time, while doing that, like iterating multiple times, you will most probably find find unexpected discoveries that they, as say, the goal or the target or the need is something totally different what you first thought it would be. And of course, from the UX point of view, you will find usability issues. You can, if you're there, people are using your product and you can see that they are hesitating, they are not finding the thing. That is something you can measure with some conventional web metrics or something. It's something that you have to be there and see that and feel it, how people are actually reacting on your product. So that's one major thing too. And as I said, the more you do it, having those iterative loops, the more the product is closer to the real product, or at least a minimum valuable product while going there. And all this, if you think about software or service design flow or design thinking, it's the part that I love the most. Also in my day job, that when you create those prototypes and you put those things on front of real people and they start using those, it's a kind of it's an amazing moment when you realize that they are actually figuring out how it works, like proactively. You don't have to tell about, now press that button or that button, but or if that is the case, then you can see that, okay, I need to change something. So I like that the most. And yeah, so now is the Terhi case. Terhi is a very famous Finnish boat brand. And this year, February, we had here in the same place, we had this Helsinki International Boat Show. And this Terhi model, this 445C, is a very traditional boat, nothing extra. It's not so hyped. So we wanted to have some action on the booth. So what to do about this? It was a winter time, and we had to do it indoors. So we thought that what if you could drive it here inside this very same building? So we realized that we need to bring here one real Terhi. We need to fix that people can actually steer and use the throttle to accelerate. And then we need virtual reality hardware. And then we need some game or experience how to use it. And then we need to put all these different things together and create some kind of a nice experience that people are like, yes, I'm somewhere else than in here. It's summertime. So immediately we started to figure out that what is the setup, how we should put these things, and how we merge these HTC motion controls to be part of this experience. And we, of course, we dedicated a factory-built boat. It was the same from the same factory line than any other. And then we took the remote control rear one. It was made by Honda. And then we took one Terhi steering wheel, and we integrated those things. I don't know which was integrated into which part, but anyway, the end result was that we bought some Thrustmasters, a couple versions, and we disassembled and we broke a couple of these things. But still, we managed finally to put things together. So we had the real steering wheel there attached to the Thrustmaster, and then we managed somehow in late night debugging, we managed to put the accelerator part of the thing to be part of the Honda remote controller, and the end result was quite astonishing. We were a little bit stunned by ourselves that how it felt good that if you put the HMDs on and then you grab onto the wheel and then you push the pedal, it was good. We were like, okay, this is going to be a big thing. From the beginning, we thought it would be nice to walk around the boat, so you don't have to sit there tightly on the driver's seat, so you can actually stand up and walk to the front of the boat. So that required the room scale with reality hardware. And it was a kind of a real reality that if you walk there and touch something, it a little bit started to feel like maybe we are doing this kind of thing that was circulating a couple of months ago. That what's the point that you can like lift it off? But the thing was that when you put that helmet on and you were standing on that boat, you were actually feeling that you're somewhere there in the eastern coastline of Helsinki, on the boat, looking outside of the boat and feeling the seagulls laughing and all that stuff. That was kind of it was a nice thing. And then about the game, the experience. The game is a little bit misleading. It was actually a kind of experience thing. Of course, because it was me coding the whole thing, we used Unreal Engine. And we got the 3D model from the factory. And because we were in a little bit in a hurry, I designed to use only blueprints, meaning that you don't have to code the thing, so you can just like drag and drop those logical models and create the flow like visually. And that's like one thing in prototyping, that you need to be able to do things fast and fail fast and try again and create again. So if you write code, at least for me, it's easier this way. And yeah, at that time, Unreal Engine, if you build it and you drive it, from the spectral point of view, the view was a kind of a vertical, so it wasn't a 16:9 scale preview screen. So I had to actually build a multiplayer game. So inside that closet, we had two different PCs running that game. One was for the driver, one was for people outside. But that was actually a really good thing, because it opened out new possibilities to create different camera angles and follow-up cameras and that stuff. It was actually, and then you can see as you can a little bit there, see that there is a HMD. You can actually see what that dude is doing there, and it was fun. That it was actually better than just having same view as a driver. And about the boat physics, how you maneuver, how you handle it, I must be truly honest, we didn't bring some fancy data from the factory that we just integrate somehow magically to be part of that experience. We had a couple of really good, talented boat drivers who have tons of hours driving similar kind of boats, and with the help of these people, we managed to create the experience very close to what it is really. The scenery and the soundscape. So it was a Sipoo. It's a eastern part of Helsinki coastline there, and I used the height maps from the National Land Survey of Finland, and I created an area of 5 kilometers per 5 kilometers where to drive around, and I used some low poly forest to keep it light and fast. And the soundscape, audio, it's a very important part of the whole experience. That we created scenery sound, of course, the ambient sounds and all that seagull stuff, but we also recorded previous summer the sound of the same engine with a microphone, and created that kind of a loop or the area if you're revving up how the sound goes up. So it was actually a really beautiful thing, and so with all these different bits and pieces, we started to build them all together here, and we installed and integrated all those things, and it was actually the first time we put all these things together here. And that was a bit stressful. And this is a short video without audio that we were like, it was a little bit in the middle of setting up the whole set, and we were a little bit unsure of what kind of wire we need, and a couple of times we went to the shop to buy new stuff that we were actually missing. So this is it. Sound. Thanks. Yeah, that's about it. So the event itself here, we had 4 people facilitating the whole thing one at a time, of course. And we constantly we clean up the HMD because it was a little bit hot here inside the convenient hall. And we were helping the people all the time to put the gear on, help them to come aboard the boat, and instruct with the basic things like how you maneuver, how you steer, and how you do this and that. So we were there constantly, and making sure that the experience is great. We limited the time first to 10 minutes, but then soon we realized that we have to decrease the amount of time to 5, because we happen to have 1 hour queues to that boat. So fortunately, I created that kind of feature that we can make that shorter. So we had this, we were counting people, and within a week, we got actually 1,000 travelers there. And that's from the business point of view, we managed to create attention and engagement with the product, and it was electrifying, the kind of a feeling inside this Terhi booth that is not usually that kind of a first thing you want to see, but this time it was. And also from that point of view, it was a success. So, next thing is the rapid retaliation game. It started from the prototyping first-person shooter. As a big fan of DICE's Battlefield series, I wanted to have something similar in virtual reality. So I even, like a couple years ago, like 6 years ago, I created this kind of a slide and sent to CEO of DICE. But for a reason or another, he never replied. Maybe that's a good thing. But at that time, the kind of a hardware what were out on the market was Vuzix AR or VR classes. So it was like years to come at this point when it is almost possible to do this kind of outdoor thing. But anyway, as there were none, I had to start creating one by my own. So, so it all started from the very basic movement prototypes. So this one has a little bit of sound here. A little bit sad. But now, fast forward 1 year.
Warning, warning.
So it got a little bit out of my hands. Never meant to be that kind of a thing. Nevertheless, there it is. It's not ready yet. But, it's a first-person shooter, and it's the second version of that I did. It also has two dimension. I mean, the traditional version support that even friends without a virtual reality headset can join you and play online. That. And it has a single player and multiplayer using the Steam network playing. As said, I have two different versions. I deployed the first one somewhere, maybe January or February, only to China via Vive port. But I actually find out a couple of months ago that it's also now available here in Europe, and it's for free. and the second version I started immediately after that. I've been developing that ever since. But soon I realized it's going to be some kind of a never-ending story. So I started to deploy like almost weekly basis builds for free on the website, on the Facebook page, where people can download it and test it and give me feedback. And that way I iterate the whole thing forward. And that's kind of the prototyping thing here. About the movement there inside of this game of virtual reality, it doesn't use teleporting from place A to place B. Instead, I'm using this touch badge, and it's a. To be really honest, I've tried this with a couple of my friends, and if you are feeling sick with virtual reality, you will soon get sick with this one because you're actually sliding there. So hopefully from the hardware side we can fix that, or from the software side somehow. And the moving there is a kind of average number or angle of your vision, and then your motion control, that where you're actually putting those two things. The average is where you're heading at. That is the normal kind of tool set you have there. But you can fly Black Hawks, Humvee, Humvee. You can jump out from the AC-100 plane. You can fly UAV, and it was kind of a thing that how to build Black Hawk, and also it has a AI operants and human only. But the whole, it's kind of a sandbox. The whole thing. It's not the game. It's kind of I'm trying out everything that how to build a copter. I usually just have a kind of a static 3D element that is dead or static, and then I start creating different things. That what are the meters, flight instruments, how to use how to maneuver, how to hover, how the wind or something affects, and how to build AI bots, of course. But then soon, if you haven't taken this thing in account from the beginning, you soon realize, like me, that you're in serious trouble with the frame rate, how much dynamic light you use, how much static you use, shadows you're using, and optimizing that. And also how the multiplayer, how you replicate that, how that affects the whole logic of the game. So it's been kind of like doing these all things again and again, and deploying a new version on the website, and people are using it, and then getting feedback, and then going back to and doing that. Very, very iterative. And then going back to real hardware prototyping. I wanted to have something very physical. Ville actually after me is going to tell you a lot about these things, but I'm just briefly going this through. I wanted to take the experience a little bit further. So I wanted to take one old mouse. I wanted to take one old airsoft gun, and I attached the leap motion on top of the HMD, and then I connect all that stuff together, and I come back to that recall shortly, but I did this. So I was actually like having the recoil of the gun and feeling the gun, the weight of the gun, and then and pointing in different directions and using that. And that is something that I really believe that the game industry, that is going to be a big hit. That not just having regular HTC Vive motor controls or Rift controls. You use some kind of a gun or some other that feels real and weights the same as the real one. And then immediately, if you notice that I was using the normal motion control there on top of the rifle, but fortunately nowadays we have these Vive trackers. So this hack is I was trying to, you can see those pins, those pogo pins there. If you want to capture the trigger, you have to short circuit those pins and deliver that to the computer. But doing that, you need some kind of adapter. And as these products are in very early states, there are not too many accessories you can use with them. I was forced to do one by myself. So I started with the clay. I got my kids' room and what I'm going to use. And unfortunately, we throw all those blade DOS away years ago. So I had to use this kind of a I don't know what it is. It was called something wet clay or something. I took the thing and pressed that on bottom of the tracker, and then I hoped that I have the patience to wait until it's dry. That was like 24 hours or something. This is 5 minutes after that previous picture, so I didn't have that patience. So I figured out, hey, I bought a 3D pen for my daughter, so I took that one and I tried to mold plastic around that and create some kind of a thing, and that was a little bit, that was sad and doomed from the very beginning. And the last thing was I was trying to use glue gun to put that on top of that, and that was, you can imagine, this is our kitchen, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" And finally, the kind of what worked best was just a piece of plastic. I drilled a couple holes and put some screws there and squeezed them, and that was actually the working solution until I get the real one somewhere. But these are the things I usually at the nighttime do, and my wife is wondering what I'm actually doing. And then about some virtual reality hacks that I've done. The first one is I was keen, for some reason I'm keen to things that are moving, like a boat or a plane or a copter or UAV. Of course, at some point you have to, or you need to, or you want to do something that relates to cars. So I got a Audi 3D model, and I started to figure out how to rig the wheels and put all those things, how the meters work, how the steering of the thing works, and all that stuff like. And then also at the same time, figure out how to use those materials. I guess I mentioned that already. But anyway, and then at the same time, the same thing we did with the boat, that you need to have proper sound set of clips to create a great sound. I totally failed with this one. I realized it's a really hard thing to do. I leave that for professionals who know how to create great sounds. And then a little bit later that, I again attached the leap motion on top of my HMD and wanted to take my hands there. And I put a steering wheel, the thrust muscle again there. And I wanted to move there and step into the car and see my own hands and grab off the steering wheel and start driving and doing all the same stuff. And unfortunately, at that time, at least, I didn't have anything that I can use, like a feedback if I grab that gear or door or something. I want to have that in the near future. Great. Then this one, when I was doing this, I think this is like, just have the date there. No, talking about AI and virtual reality was very sexy like 4 or 6 months ago. So I wanted to do something that relates to those things. So I created an app for an Android, and if I press a button, it will record my voice and send that to the Google Speech API. And that response goes back to my game server that sends a kind of a command to the game that move that ball left or right or something. And that was fun. I wanted to create something, and this was more or less a kind of a proof of concept that yes, I can do this, and I immediately posted this on Facebook and YouTube until I realized there's actually a ready-made plugin that you can actually install in 2 seconds, and that's it. So it was a fun thing to do, but maybe not necessary. Then, as a kid, I dreamed of when I was playing with the Matchbox cars. I remember I was playing the game that I'm actually sitting inside that car. So, of course, there was a point some night that I felt that, hey, I want to use excavator. I want to sit in there and start digging dirt and doing stuff. So, this prototype took like a couple of hours. I separated those elements of the thing that is grabbing ground and create that kind of stuff that spills that meatballs, and start doing that. It was amazing that in such a short time you can actually create this kind of a prototype. And what if you have 10 people doing this and you have time like 4 months? What then? What I'm currently actually doing is I was thinking about cars and planes and stuff. I haven't been in space yet, so I wanted to go to space. So I went to Turbo Squid and bought a model of the space shuttle and started to create experience how to float in space, how to handle the zero gravity, because there's no natural force to decrease your velocity, how to handle that. And what if you could have some kind of a personal rocket that pulls you, and maybe I could create some kind of a game where you can grab satellites and fix them up and check shuttle, space shuttle tiles, heat tiles, if there are any missing, and docking to the International Space Station. I created kind of prototype where I can open and close those doors, and I have a kind of Canadian arm that I can use to grab those satellites. Yeah. That's it. So, I will check if I have any questions from the Twitter. No, just my wife. Any questions here? We have plenty of time if anyone want to ask me a thing. But anyway, anytime you can go to www.netfreak.net or email me or go to the Facebook page. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Sonia and the FIVR. I'm actually, after this event, I will be there showing you these demos if you want to. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sami.